Hey, what? Oh,
Yeah, come on.
here we go. Hey, goodbye.
Mm. Did you get some dinner in you?
Yep.
Nice.
Had a little homemade burrito.
Man, hopefully at least got a homemade ass whooping for Carolina. I mean for Florida tonight. Some sauce
Oh,
or something.
there's not enough Tums in the world that's going to get me through this game.
Tums. Come on.
You come on.
You need no damn Tums.
Mm, Man, I need some kind of high level antacid. All right, I'm going to keep that
But
up
if
there.
they are they
The
winning?
game, no, right now it's 0-0, but the game's on in the background. I got the box score up here.
Oh, so you can just punish yourself.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not punishing.
Hey,
I'm
you
not
know what?
watching. What?
This is fucking payback for all those years with that goddamn list. Fucking 30,000 to 4. This is like my Pete battle, my Pete fucking ping pong battle. Me and you.
You
Let's
like
go
that?
again. Let's go again.
Let's go again. Again.
Yeah, you're getting
Okay.
paid back, buddy. That's all I can say.
Okay, so um I obviously loaded up the script with just a lot of information.
Yeah, you did.
Feel free to pick and choose.
Well, Pete called me and he told me that he sat down and he wrote out some stuff so that he could be prepared. And he's got 4 pages. So between the two of you, you got 9 pages of information. I don't know how long we're going to be here, but it's going to be a fucking while, guy. He's ready.
Oh my God. You know, I did meet him and I was at the USDGC and I can't remember. I don't know if it was my last year in '09 or if it was, I feel like I was there '06, '07, well, 2000, '06, '07, and '09. 2000 as a player, came last place officially. Thank you. And those are the 3 years, I believe. I was a
You
spotter.
officially came last, huh?
2009 was the last one, but I'm pretty sure that's where I met him. That's the only place I would have met him.
Yeah, you'll know. I mean, you recognize him, correct?
Oh yeah, totally. And I've gone through like many hours of video already with him. I'm very familiar with his. It's going to be a pleasure talking to him for sure. I'm excited.
All right, so we got Harold for now where's this at? Hold on a second. No, so there it is. We got Harold for I went and I downloaded all these pictures. I didn't download them on the computer.
Oh, you dumbass! Come on.
Yeah, hey, I'll be the one
Yeah.
calling me a dumbass, okay? Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. Come on. Come on, Pace. Come on.
I'm getting it. It's happening. So he just wants me to give him a ring whenever we're ready to bring him on for rehearsal.
Okay.
And so I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to talk about. I'm actually not looking at the screen with your face on it right now because I'm saving these.
No problem. Um, so just to go through the script, there's the intro, and then we'll throw it to you. And I just want you to like, sure, the intro is one thing, but we need to. I like the secondary kind of framework action where we know who our guest is, but just to put it in a little capsule, who our guest is. Um, and again, feel free to hit as many or not of those as possible, but that's kind of says a lot of it right there. Um, and while we're in this, like even though I'm going to bring up, say, the competitiveness in the table tennis, uh, I think we should both agree that, free play, like if something occurs to you or some tangent or whatever occurs to you, jump in, of course.
For sure.
Um,
Maybe we need to raise our hands just to not interrupt each other.
okay. Yeah, you got to come up with something. We'll start with that.
Well, if we raise our hands, then the other will know. Like, hey, I got something else I want to add. Not that I'm just trying to chop you off or anything like that.
Can you, while
Yeah,
I'm
I got
thinking,
something to add.
can you make sure that you've set the options so that I can share my screen?
I will. Yeah, 1 second. One more picture here.
One of the videos I came across was Stokely interviewing Pete. It was a really quick little thing, but it was quite charming. And Stokely was really playing up the fact that you can have people who represent opposite sides of the political spectrum, the religious, moral, ethical spectrum, whatever, the life circumstances spectrum, but still be connected through disc golf. And the diversity of disc golf is what really keeps us going. And really, I mean, just he was standing there. I mean, Stokely's what, 6'7", 6'8",
Yeah,
and
he's tall.
Pete in comparison was like looked like 5'2". Maybe a little taller than that, but like there's a huge gap in their size.
He's
But
definitely taller than that, but I know what you're saying.
I mean, when you're
I
standing
saw
next to Stokely,
I saw the same thing happen when I was watching NCAA tournament this year. The Miami coach, he's like 72 and he's like 6'8", and like you don't usually see people that are that old that are that tall anymore. Like it's like I don't know if maybe their life expectancy is short or whatever, but
right?
he stood there by the lady that was interviewing him, and I was like, "Holy shit, this guy's tall!" And then the player walks up beside him, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Because like he was in between the two of them, but it turns out that the player was only like 6'1", maybe 6'2" at most.
I
He was a
guess
shorter guy, but he was definitely one of their MVPs too. But he wasn't
like
big, and so it was a real strange situation there.
like Steve Nash. Like
Oh, dude, I met him.
he looks tiny compared to like Shaq
He's not. I
or
mean, he's not
whoever.
much taller than
Sure.
me.
No, but I mean he's still like 6 feet.
Oh, he's like 6'2",
Yeah.
maybe 6'3". But man, he's a nice guy. Yeah, I know. You
Yeah.
guys, you guys invented him.
Thank you. We did invent him.
That light's too bright. All right, so yeah, I was looking this over earlier. See, like, and we just got the late part of his resume. He was telling me he started out as he was a professional putt-putt player. And then he was or not, then he was well, he wasn't, yeah, he was a pro putt-putt player in like 59, 60. And
But
then, yeah, he played like when he was 18. He was fucking playing professional fucking mini golf.
he's not mentioned in any of his interviews.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk. We can get him. We can get it on there. We can get some
Oh.
like he's got a whole fucking resume of shit written down. So you want me to call him up?
Okay, hold on. Let's just keep going through this. Um, I didn't write any questions down. I just gave us material to kind of talk about. So, like for
Yeah, this
instance,
is gonna be a kick the handle and watch it go kind of a thing, man. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, I know we're going to wind them up, and that's going to be,
We'll just pitch him. We'll keep pitching him, and he'll keep hitting them,
yeah.
as
We'll
opposed
do
to
it.
the foghorn leghorn and the fucking banny rooster.
Boy, I say, boy,
Look at me
nice
when I'm
intro.
talking to you, boy.
Nice intro. Dumb questions, though. Boy, I tell you what.
I keep pitching them, and you keep missing them. You're built too small. The quick ones go straight over your head.
So
What?
hey,
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hey,
can you
there
hear
it is.
us?
hey,
But yeah, you don't. Now, do you have a picture of me anywhere?
Not yet. No, we're
Oh,
waiting. Do
okay.
you not have a camera?
All right. I've got an iPad and a cell phone, so I'm on my own camera. I'm on my own phone, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do to help
Well,
you.
you does the iPad have a cam? The iPad should have a camera on it. You set it up to where it should.
Yeah, iPad has a camera. You want me to put the iPad camera on me?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, the camera's got to
Okay, I'll
catch
do
you,
that.
baby.
All right, now I'm gonna. That means that's gonna click you away, right?
I don't think so. It should. Like, if it's is there not a camera on the screen side of that?
Yeah. Oh, it's on the back side of it. Yeah. Now,
No,
but
but
I
what
got to
about?
go to the camera. I have to go to camera to put it on, don't it? It says record. I'm looking at something. Oh, yours, you've got a red dot flashing and it says record. What's that mean?
Hmm.
Means I'm watching this as a viewer, I think.
Well, if you clicked on that link, it should have brought you in the right spot.
Yeah, you're
All
definitely.
right, I did click on the linkage, but I don't know whether I clicked as a viewer or as a guest. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Let's
You got to
see.
tell me. All right, you want me to go try to do it on my phone? Is that where you send it to me? Is on
Yeah,
my
I mean,
phone?
you can do that. Timmy, it worked really good with Timmy Gill. He did it on his
On the
phone, and it was
phone?
no problem at all.
All right, then I'm gonna shoot because it's on Facebook. A lot of my friends, I shared it with all of my friends, so a lot of people are gonna be watching this.
Nice. Yeah.
All
Well,
right, I'm gonna go.
we still got a little
I'm
time.
gonna go to
We got
Facebook.
23 minutes before we need to go live, so we're in good shape.
Okay,
So
cool.
just I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna resend you the invitation. So why don't you just shut all that down and get yourself out of
Shut
where you're
everything
at,
down.
and then
Where you gonna send the invitation?
I'm gonna it'll be
To
the
my
same thing.
email?
I'm gonna resend that same email to you, and then
All right.
but do all this on your mobile. Click it on your mobile, and then
Okay,
it'll
got
set
it.
you up that way.
Then I'm gonna quit fooling with the iPad. Go ahead, send it to me on my mobile.
Yeah, shut yourself down on the iPad completely.
Oh, shut the iPad completely down.
Yeah, get
Okay.
out of stop. Like get
out of the,
There should be an end webinar button there you can push.
I don't know. I'm just gonna cut it off. How about that?
Okay.
If I cut it off, we know I'm done. Stick a fork in me and make me done. Yeah.
Is he gone?
I think he's gone.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just us two.
This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be so much fun. Come on.
Yeah, hopefully this works out. We'll get him on the phone. It'll be like when we had Timmy.
Oh man, this is just a bundle of positive energy. Absolutely. You know, there's two people, well, the two people that we've been talking about, Pete and Harold, both obviously deeply spiritual people, religious people, and that really comes through. They use the term blessed about themselves. I'm blessed. And
Well, that's Southern. That's not necessarily just religious. That's like
okay.
that bleeds all the way through. Like people tell me this all the time. They go, "Well, have a blessed day," and honestly, I feel like that's not up to me. You know what I mean? That wasn't the way I was raised at all. Like I don't have any say in whether I'm gonna have a blessed day. I'm gonna have a great day based on my attitude and what I'm gonna do, and how I'm gonna handle myself. But that, if I'm gonna have a blessed day, that means cool things are coming my way from outside, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Now, when Harold and Pete say it, they're blessed because they have received many blessings. I think it's a little different, but a lot of people say that all the time around here. Have a blessed day, and it's like I don't think I have any say in that.
But I wasn't really going to the cliche of or the cultural norm of saying blessed. I was more going to the fact that when you talk to these guys, you feel kind of a radiating sense of grace and wisdom.
Yeah.
And in a way, it makes the listener feel blessed. Just
Well,
just
and dude,
listening to them
like,
talk about whatever.
well, yeah,
know?
and for sure. And I think that either one of them, like, man, I've learned every time I talk to both of them, every time, no two ways about it, and it's just one of those times. Those are the kind of people I say this about all the time. I'm like, okay, when I show up to hang out with them and talk, just when I come walking up on them, I find the empty bucket real quick. And then I take that empty bucket back to the house and look at what I got from it, from that conversation. And it's not like I think about it that much, but I pay close attention when either one of them men are talking.
Well,
And
it's
I could only hope that someday some folks at least would say the same about me.
well, they've been saying that about you for a while. But about
Yeah, there's been saying some other shit too.
well, yeah, there's always that. But about Pete specifically, what's really cool is that primarily the stereotype is disc golfers come from a background of, there's the tie-dye wearing hippie, blue collar people showing up with the beers and whatnot. And that is kind of the norm. And I know that's been one of the things that's been plaguing the PDGA, or had been plaguing for a long time, was how to shed that image and get legitimacy. But in order to really move the chain forward, and in order to really get some progress going, you need to have people who operate in that other realm. And maybe it's the bureaucratic realm, maybe it's the corporate realm, maybe it's whatever realm. But you need people who are engaged in the game, but who can also speak those kind of languages. Because
Yeah, for
bureaucratic
sure.
speak, and Pete is a great example of the kind of person. I mean, the fact that he was connected both to, working for Morris Communications and kind of knowing the owner and being able to like ask the owner, hey, can you come and do the keynote speech at the PDJ Worlds? Or he can go to the president of Augusta College and say, do you know anybody on the West Coast? And when he says anybody, he means any presidents of any colleges that are on the West Coast. And that's what kickstarted the National Collegiate Disc Golf Championships, was Pete being able to talk to that level of person. And I mean that's like a godsend for the rest of us, because we can't just go into a dean's office or a president's office and talk to them and say, hey, you need to get on the phone and call this guy and set this up. But we need
Yeah,
those
that's a
advocates.
really good point. I mean, and there's a lot of people that fill that role. I mean, like I wouldn't have any problem talking to any of those people about anything. However, I'm not going to have the right things to say to those people. I'm not going to be all polished. I can handle myself.
But
And honestly,
you're not
I'm,
going to be able to even schedule the meeting.
yeah, exactly. They're like, who? You do what? Nah, we ain't got time for you.
No, we're not taking his call. But I mean, we need more kind of, in a way, I see the analogy of like in corporate investing. These are angel investors. People can come in with the right kind of capital. And in these terms, Pete had academic capital. So he could talk to the academic administrators and professionals and engineer something to happen. He could, but also with Morris Communication, like, I don't know if you know the story, but in 2006, Augusta hosted the Worlds, and he got Morris, the president or owner of Morris Communications, to come in and like do the send off speech or whatever. And we'll get Pete to talk about this, but
I knew about the Worlds. I didn't know about him having that guy out, but it totally makes sense. I mean, I put that all together.
that guy was so enthralled with what happened. He was like, we need to have this happen every year here. And Pete was like, well, this is the world. People bid on it. Like it goes from city to city. We could come back in like 20 years, but it's not going to happen. And so this guy challenged Pete, come up with something so that this can happen here every year. And that's how the National Collegiate Championships were born. It's pretty cool that level, having access to those halls of power that can move mountains.
All right, he's calling me. Hey, what's up, buddy? Hmm. I use it well, I use it in Windows. I'm a PC guy. Do you use Safari, Paul?
I use Firefox.
Oh, Firefox. So go back and try it on Chrome and see if that'll work. All right. He's gonna try. We have technical difficulties. Yeah, well, and that's one of the things too, like telling stories like that. I mean, people know of his importance and stuff like that, but people aren't necessarily going to dig that deep and look into it and go, "Hey, what about that too?" And so,
Yeah.
yeah, hey, good job.
Well, obviously, this is where I love to thrive is in finding little nuggets to bring out and talk about, you know?
Yeah, I can't get rid of that fucking light. Oh, I wonder if that light over there does it.
Hey, have you created the option so I can share my screen? Oh yeah, you have. Ah, good for you, Mace.
I was on the job here, Paul.
Mace is on the job.
Trying to. Oh, it's the computer. It's the.
So
It's
you have
a little
photo
better.
and video that you can share, right?
Yeah, I can't do it. That's okay.
So that one video of him at the USDGC, that's where you're gonna talk about showmanship in the USDGC and show that video. We're gonna talk about um, you're gonna kind of bridge between table tennis and disc golf.
Thanks for reminding me. I need to.
What'd you say?
I gotta open that up. I gotta get that queued up too. I got the photos queued up.
Are the Hall of Fame discs always on the same discs?
And I think a lot of them are on AVRs, but obviously Kenner's was like on a Cyclone.
Oh, right, right.
Not the last one, yeah. We're gonna get this to work then. There you go. Oh, I don't see you at all yet. No, Do you see me? Yeah, do that. Oh, here we go. We got Pete. All right, I'm
Hey,
getting
there's
off the phone.
Pete. Oh,
All
we
right,
got no audio though. Oh, he's connecting to the audio.
I say we're hot.
There we go.
there we go.
You're live.
Okay, let's get her done then.
Let's get her done.
Well, welcome, Pete. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, real good.
Nice. You're looking even better.
Oh, I don't know about that. Well, I'm not as ugly as I could be for 80, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, this is awesome. Thank you for joining us, Pete. I really
Oh,
appreciate
my
it.
pleasure, my pleasure.
You probably don't remember me. I remember you. I met you, I think it was 2009 at the USDGC. I was helping out with some of the media side, and I remember just taking note of you and your apparel and your ping pong paddle, and I'm like, what's the deal with this guy over here? And then I saw you in action. I was like, there's the
I've
birth
had a
of a
lot of fun
legend.
with that pong paddle. I mean, I have. I've had some fun. You didn't see the match with Sean Sinclair, did you? I played Sean Sinclair match for $5,000, and he thought for certain he was going to win. The room was so crowded over at that hotel. Ken couldn't even get in the room. And Ken was had his head in the room, and I've never thought that Ken would ever look at me. And he was trying to get in the room, and the room was full of players, and he couldn't get in the room. So that was maybe the greatest day of my life.
That's beautiful. So I don't know how much Mace has talked to you about this, but basically the whole premise. First of all, I'm Paul, Mr. B.
Yep.
Nice to
Gotcha.
meet you.
Yeah.
We're disc golf is really exploding in popularity, especially over the last couple of years, and we've got a lot of great new growth in the game, which is awesome. I mean, the explosion of PDGA numbers is incredible, but the problem is that with a lot of new people coming into the game, they don't know what's happened more than 2 or 3 years ago.
That's true.
And I've been involved in the game since '93. Actually, this is my 30th year playing. Mace has been involved in the game a little bit before me, and we really have a respect for and reverence for the stories, the history, what shaped this thing. And it's, I don't want to say we're in danger of losing some of those stories, but we want to be there to be archivists, to collect the stories, to be there to help the new people come along and they go, oh, who's this person? Wow, I didn't realize he was such a contribution to the game. So thank you for participating in this, and I hope that we're going to be able to entertain you enough. And I know that you're going to entertain us. I know you're ready to go, and you usually are. You're a wonderful interviewee, and I've done some homework, but not enough. And this is honestly a real honor for me to be able to share the same virtual space with you.
Made my day.
Pete,
But
I'm not ignoring you. I'm just Paul has a lot to say. I'll be right with you.
I'm all right. I got my dogs locked up so they won't be jumping all over everything.
I'm making sure that I'm doing my last bit of homework here. So just bear with me for 1 second.
Sure.
Now, the way that we're gonna start this, I have a little intro for you, and basically one of the things that I do is the Toronto Island Maple Leaf is a big tournament that happens on Labor Day weekend here in Toronto, and it's a tea time tournament. And so I was asked 8 years ago or more now to be the intro guy to introduce everybody. And I took the opportunity, like Will Ferrell, to turn into a bit of a roast. Not necessarily a roast, sometimes a boast, sometimes a toast, sometimes a roast. And so I've got a little intro for you. I'm gonna launch into that, and then we'll get into the whole show. I know that you've already prepared some material, and so that's awesome. Hopefully, I've done some of my homework enough to have you to raise your eyebrows and go, "Wow, okay, that's the angle on that." But we definitely are. Anytime we want to sit back and listen to what you have to say, and this is all about you tonight. So we're just going to try to serve you a couple of lobs and let you go with it. Okay.
Let's give it a try.
All
Well,
right.
and on top of that, definitely, Pete, like I want to, like what you were talking about with me on the phone earlier, talking about putt and everything like that. We can go as deep or as light across all that, but that stuff is like Paul. I was telling Paul, and he wasn't pissed, but he was just like, how do you know something that I didn't find out about? Why that I didn't find that anywhere. How do you know? I was like, well, I was talking to him on the phone a couple hours ago, and he filled me in on. And I didn't even tell you about his bowling too. He's a badass bowler. And then I told him about what you told me about building the house next door to the ping pong master. And
Oh
he's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, so you guys are ready. And I was like, yep, yep. Paul does homework big time.
I try. I do try. But you know, we also try to just make sure that it's a good even flow. And you know, the most important thing is just getting the conversation going, getting the stories going. That's the most important
Well,
thing.
let's have a good time.
You know,
Yeah,
I
we're
think
gonna try to
we're
be
all
like
about
Bob
this.
Barker and just like pull some information out of you that you thought you'd already given it all up. And
Okay.
then all of a sudden, here comes some more. Oh wait, I didn't realize there was more to tell.
Be right back.
Okay. I'm just here ready to go.
All right. So yeah, that anyways, I got a couple photos. And Paul has a couple as well that we're gonna use. And then Corduroy gave me the video from that he filmed. He gave me like 4.5 minute video of you putting the whooping on some poor college kid. And I mean, like I was like looking at this going,
Oh
I've
God.
seen him put it on him a lot harder than that. Like this guy scored 3 points. And I told Paul, I was like, yeah, I just watched this whole video. And this kid scored, Pete let this guy score 3 points on him. I told him about you putting the paddle down and running over to where the ping pong ball was going to be and catching it for him.
I did do that. I did do that. But those guys were recreational players, and so that was easy for me. I
He
mean, the truth.
apologized a couple times too, as you were whooping him.
Do we have some of that video though, Mace?
Oh yeah, no, I got the whole thing.
Oh, that's
We'll
gonna
bring
be
that on in a little bit. Definitely. So yeah, and you know, we're like Paul was saying earlier, we're you know, and I actually told Paul, I said, you know what? All we're gonna have to do is kick the handle a couple times, and Pete's gonna go. You know, and that's I've seen you know I've had plenty of conversations with you, and I know like all I'm gonna have to do is ask you a couple questions, and you're gonna take the ball from there. So, but I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you have to say, and thanks a lot for coming on with us, Pete.
Okay, I mean, really, this is my pleasure, and I'm honored to even be anybody remember me. You know, I'm almost off the chart now, but I'm still having a good
No.
time. I'm going to Oregon to play in the Tim Zielinski's in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. I wish I was
Not-
there.
not only to play but to defend.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing. There's a great player named Carlos Rigby that'll be there. He's an ex-colonel from Vietnam, and he is Peter Shive to me now. He's really he's a great senior player and a good guy. He's a super guy. So I'll be seeing him in Oregon.
Nice.
He's driving all the way from Virginia.
Wow.
Yes, he asked me when I ride with him. I said, I think I'll fly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame you. I probably would have told him yes, but
I came close.
I'm
I
still
thought about it.
56, so I mean,
It wasn't the distance that bothered me. It was the time.
yeah, I'm probably it's looking like I'm going to drive to Detroit and possibly Toronto this year, as well as it's possible that I'm going to do Detroit, Toronto in one trip. I'm gonna come back and then I'm gonna go Tacoma, like Flagstaff, Tacoma, in the next trip, and then after that go to Charlotte and Rock Hill and like Raleigh, and then go down to Orlando and come back in the third trip, and then go back to Rock Hill again in October. I
That's a
hope
good
that's
ride.
all. I hope that all works out
That's
that way.
good
We'll
ride.
see.
That's a lot of motoring.
I drove
Right,
to
I'm
LA
gonna
and
go-
back from Augusta.
I'm gonna go live here, and we'll be going here in like 20 seconds. So stand by.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, we are live, folks. Paul, take it away.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world, please welcome to the tee our very next special guest. He's the all-time legendary human who's done more in the last 10 minutes than you've accomplished this week. He's the pistol packing, paddle whacking son of a gun in Stetsons and Glassons who always delivers the fun. You'd best be packing heat in the cannon of the serve if you want to swerve this pint-sized ping pong master blaster. Otherwise, it's ding dong and toodle doo dum dum for you. He's toiled as a chicken cutter and an ice cream stacker, and his side hustle was selling firecrackers. But now he's chairman emeritus and far more interesting than the rest of us. Ladies and gentlemen, on the tee, please welcome Pete USA May.
Hi, guys.
Nice.
Pete May. Wow. Thank you for joining the Good Times Hour. We really appreciate that. Mace, why don't you
What
start
an
us off
honor.
with
Thank
a
you.
little- Thank you, sir.
What's that, Paul? What were you saying to me there?
Why don't you put into framework who is Pete May? I've given a little intro, but that's more for Pete's aspect than the people in the background. Why don't you
Right,
tell
well,
us a little bit?
Okay, so I'm only gonna hit the tip of the iceberg because a lot of what we're gonna talk about only goes back to about the halfway point of his life. Him being 82, almost 83, and basically he told me that basically he's been playing disc golf for like 26 years, but he goes back snapshots of his resume. He played table tennis. He's a national champion, the 21-22 US men's 80 plus champion with a current rating of 1771. He founded the the National Barrel Horse Racing Association. He plays tennis, and he's currently ranked in the top 500, 465th in the world, according to the International Tennis Federation. He's got a pretty storied PDGA career, and he's only been at it for 26 years. He's got 25 straight years he's played a tournament in 25 straight years, and he'll get number 26 in here in 3 weeks at the Tim Selinsky. His career is 1 year older than the USDGC, all noted. And he has 13 world titles as well as 2 major titles. Career events 103, career wins 26, and his win percentage obviously is at 25%. He's also one of the things that's really cool and really gaining steam right now is he's the founder of the Collegiate Disc Golf Championship. He founded that in 2007. And he's in the Hall of Fame class of 2022 with Jim Oram, Steve Lambert, Joe Cahow, or Cahow. I'm terrible with names. And his rival and nemesis is Peter Shaw. All right,
Amen.
so I'm not that good at reading things off of paper as I am at just hanging it off the cuff and everything, but
We'll make sure you
that-
bring it up with this.
so that's like the tip of the iceberg. So where should we start, Pete? I mean, why don't you just tell us a little bit about all that stuff? Like at least tell us a little bit about the barrel racing and the tennis, because we'll probably spend the least amount of time talking about that.
The barrel race was life-changing for me. Yeah. I want just a little bit about the barrel racing. A person came to me with an idea about doing a barrel race in Augusta and wanted to know if my boss would put up $10,000 added money. I said, I don't know anything about barrel racing. What's the deal with barrel racing? 100 people barrel race. He said 100,000 every weekend all over the US. I said, where's the headquarters? I don't know anything about it. He said, there is no headquarters. I said, you telling me 100,000 people do something, they don't have a card they're buying from somebody? He said, absolutely not. It's loosely run all over the country. He said, but we want to do a nice one in Augusta. So I called the headquarters for Quarter Horse News, which was a newspaper I knew about in Fort Worth. And I said, Gloria Ann, she was the editor. I said, where's the headquarters for barrel racing? She said, Pete, there's no headquarters. It's just run all over the country and people give it big names, but there's nobody actually doing the national championships. I said, you're kidding. So I hung up the phone. I said, boys, I want to be member number 1. Why don't we start a association? I'm willing to do that, but I don't want to do a barrel race. I want to do an association. If there's 100,000 people racing every weekend, I'll fast forward. I started as member number 1. I've done 3 barrel races in Beijing. I've done 15 barrel races in Italy. I ran over 2,500 barrel races a year for 15 years that I wasn't there. I had a staff running those barrel races. And there's well over 100,000 members now in 30 countries. And barrel racing is the reason I wear the cowboy hat. I became a cowboy through barrel racing, and I don't even ride a horse. And I don't need to ride a horse. I'm a promoter. And I enjoy that. What I enjoy is a crowd. I enjoy gathering a crowd and entertaining a crowd. If you ask me what I like best, I would say even like that better than competing, is drawing a crowd and entertaining a crowd. So without going into a lot of detail, that's who I am. I'm a promoter that loves a crowd. So you can go from
covers a
there.
lot.
That's
I
beautiful.
mean, that does cover a lot, and I understand that, and I enjoy it as well. Definitely. So tennis, I didn't know
You
played
like that
tennis.
too.
Huh?
You like that too. You like
Oh, I
a
love
crowd
it.
also. I know you do. Yeah.
Yeah, he
I've
does.
seen you work a crowd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. I would definitely sign up for more of that if it was available. I really enjoy that. That's definitely a lot of fun. So I didn't know you played tennis, but it doesn't really surprise me.
I started at 65 playing tennis.
Wow. You know, one
And
of the things that,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just obviously just in anybody who's coming across this right now, when they hear you speak, they can hear your passion, they can hear your energy. They can also get the sense of your competitiveness. And I think that's being the showman, having the eyes on you, wanting to be the guy on delivering the mail on the big stage. I think that is a really amazing aspect of you personally, and we'll get to that anecdote about the house in a little bit. But this transitions into your whole ping pong career. Oh, sorry, table tennis, and I should clarify for
Ping
everybody in the
pong's okay with me.
background. Ping pong is a trademark name, like rollerblades or frisbee, and table tennis is the legal or the worldwide
I
international.
didn't know that.
name.
I didn't
Trademark
know
word. Yeah.
Also, I guess if you want to ask the average person out there, ping pong is what you play in your mom's basement. Table tennis you play in lighted arenas or convention
Right.
halls.
That's kind of,
rooms.
Ballrooms.
that's a good comparison. Yeah.
So you became very good very quickly with table tennis, and your innate sense of competitiveness. And it's really interesting. It's not so much that you want to beat the other person necessarily, but you want to be the best and you want everybody else to play their best as well. And
That's true.
you kind of gave up on table tennis after kind of dominating the local Augusta scene. You were 22 years old and you're like, well, I'm the best at this. There's nobody else that I can see around. And you took up bowling. You became a bowler. You kind of left table tennis in the background. And then Herb Beckham moves to town.
That's
He
right.
changes everything for you. And
Changed my life. He changed my life.
he showed you that what you thought was the big stage in Augusta was just a small little fishbowl on a shelf. And
Absolutely.
you were so moved by your spirit of competitiveness with Herb that you built a house next door to him so that
I
you
did.
could play virtually nonstop
Every day. Every day.
And I remember the metric. You said that you played 30 games a day for 10 years. That's about 90,000 games. And you
Yes.
only won 4.
4 games. And 2 of them were in the state championship, which I won, which is amazing. I never won a practice game with him ever. Not one practice game. He mocked me. He told me I had 2 left feet. He was one of the best quipsters. He could have been Johnny Carson if they'd put him on stage. He was absolutely the best one-liner. And I rode with him for 10 years. I couldn't afford to travel for those 10 years. And he carried me. His business paid for our travel for 10 years. So he put me on tour. And he's just, I don't even know. I don't have words to say how much I love the man. He died when he was 77. And that was a heartbreaker for me, but it was time for him to go. So I didn't want him to suffer. But let me just tell you one anecdote about Herb. I was playing City League basketball at the time, and I was a pretty good guard. I could shoot good, and I wasn't a big guy, but I was playing City League basketball. So we played in a table tennis tournament in Greenville, South Carolina. And when we got there, they had a screen, half the court, this thing was basketball and half table tennis. And there were balls laying all over the court. I said, Herb, how about shooting me a couple free throws for $1? He said, why would you want to shoot me? I said, Herb, you whip me every time in table tennis. Give me a chance to make a buck off of you. He said, tell you what I do. He said, you just pass me the ball. I'll go to the foul line. And he said, I won't count any of mine that touch the rim. Is that fair enough? And he shot 9 straight in that hit the bottom of the net. And the 10th one hit the rim. He said, we won't count that one. Now shoot. and I made my 8. He said, give me the dollar. And he said, why would you bet a man you don't know? I said, Herb, you don't look like a basketball player. He said, I didn't miss a free throw in high school. He said, I set a state record. Never gamble with somebody that you don't know. What a lesson that was for me. And so that's my deal with Herb Beckham. The guy was magic. But he happened to take up table tennis. He was in Korea, the Korean War. So he was in Japan for 2 years, and that's where he learned to play real well, was in Japan, and he came back. So anyway, that's a quick story about my dear friend Herb Beckham.
Well, I mean, that's an amazing story, and the fact that you could lose so many games and still be motivated to get up and play more games against them, and then somehow bring it to the dance and win in the state championships. I mean,
I don't understand that, but I'll tell you what, I thought I was going to win every next game. Every one of those 90,000. I said, that's my game. That's my game. I said that 90,000 times, and I didn't win it because the good news is he didn't let me win. He didn't throw me a bone. He showed me, you're either going to be a better player or you're never going to beat me. And he was the best player in the South at that time. So I was lucky enough to have him as a next door neighbor to put an edge on my game.
a lot of times people want to shy away from any kind of competition or playing a better course or challenging themselves in some way because they think it's hard. They think it's not, that drains the joy out of it. But what you've just described is the pathway to actual joy, because you unlock the potential inside.
It's always the fight. The brass ring doesn't mean nearly what the fight is. It's the fight to get there and caring about the fight, but not whining about the fight if you lose. If you play your best, you did not lose. You just got beat.
Yep.
Only losing is quitting. The only losing is quitting. There is no losing when you play your best. You just got beat. And there's always a cat bigger than Tom.
Well, we're gonna come back to this whole idea of competition and the competitiveness that brings out the best in you. But I'm gonna throw it over to Mace and just to talk about. I mean, you're still a wonderful example at 82 of how to still deliver the mail. So, Mace, maybe you can get into the whole training aspect.
Yeah, well, so like I told you earlier, Paul's a great researcher. And he did a deep dive on a lot of different things about you. And one of the things that he dug up was your training regimen, about doing wind sprints and weight training. Said you're the fittest 80-year-old I know. This is your quote. I go to lunch every Monday with my high school friends, and there's 20 of us, and they were all football studs, and I'm by far the fittest. You know, so
not the strongest, though. Fittest.
Big difference.
So what's your secret? I mean, obviously you haven't quit anything. I mean, I guess maybe you quit playing putt-putt and you quit bowling, but
all right, I get that question.
Whoop a man at either one of those.
All right, the reason for tennis, when I transferred from table tennis to disc golf, I gained 20 pounds. I took up tennis at 65. I went to a personal trainer for 3 months, and then I started playing tennis every day. And I built a tennis court in my backyard. I built a grass tennis court in my backyard. And so I started playing tennis every day with a young man 20 years younger than me named Henry Scher, who is a better tennis player than me. And I would say he almost has the Herb Beckham advantage on me, but he wasn't 80 years old. So I thought I would win the tennis championship by the time I was 70. I really did, because of my table tennis skills and my quick first step. I thought that I would win national championship in tennis, and that didn't happen until I was 80. But at 80, I won a national title. I won the Clay Court Nationals, and it's because of Henry Scher, who owns a T-Bone's restaurant in Augusta, Georgia. But he plays with me 3 times a week, and I have another Herb Beckham in my life. He beat me yesterday, 11-9 games in the third set. 11-9. 11-9 is a huge third set, and he walloped me. So once again, I've got somebody that's got an edge on me. But the beautiful thing is, he'll play with me, even though he's better than me, and I'm grateful for that. So but staying fit is about movement. I think you have to have a goal, so you should set goals. The goal may be just walking to your mailbox and back. And if you can do that, then walk to the next person's mailbox and back. And if you can do that, going down the street, next thing you know, you're walking around the block. So I think, and I heard the guy that's a great speaker, and by the way, I'm bad on remembering names now, but I do a crossword puzzle every day, but I can't even sometimes call my children's name. So Zig Ziglar, that's what I wanted to say. Zig Ziglar talked about motivation. And he said, you go to the mailbox and then to the next mailbox and then to the next until you're walking around the box. And he said, I lost 40 pounds doing that. And I had never heard about doing small steps to do a big thing. So I stay extremely active every day. By the way, you know this about disc. I go out in my front yard and there's 2 houses down as an empty lot. I throw over a house and I throw 25 down and 25 back every day of my life. That's how I start my day, is throwing disc. Because if I didn't, I'd have a sore arm when I played in tournaments. So I keep myself, disc throwing is not hard on your body, but it gives you a good range of motion. And I have to go down and pick them up and walk down and bring them back. And I usually do it twice. So that gives me about 100 throws a day. But activity, that's the key, I think, to staying as fit as you can be. And it's never about weight, it's about fitness.
Yeah.
All of us have different weights that are natural for us. But I think our challenge is to stay fit where we breathe well. Breathing is what it's all about. So the Lord has given me a good set of lungs, apparently, and I'm grateful for that. And I breathe easy, and I have a very quick first step. So, and that's a gift. That's 2 gifts that I have.
That's interesting because like I'm at the point in my life where I really just need to start paying attention to the overall, maybe from a yoga standpoint or something along that line, because I keep throwing my back out. But I'm ate up with my bicycle. But the last time I threw my back out, it was on my bike. And it was one of those things, like, it goes out. It's not because I went and lifted something heavy. It's just because I moved wrong at the right time. And then it takes a week or 2 to go away. And so here lately, I've been feeling like it's better, but I haven't been getting that much exercise because it's not better. And so I've just been going out around my place where I live. There's a mile square that I can walk, and it's continuous. There's only a couple driveways that cross it, no streets. And each time I start thinking about how can I squeeze a little bit more into this, and that's the same thing like you're talking about just going a little further, going to the next mailbox. And I do that with my rides too, and it works. I mean, you get yourself to a point where you're really where you want to be. I really want to spend like 1 hour and 20 on my bike whenever I go, and I can get, if I'm doing well, I can get 20 miles in that 1 hour and 20. And I mean, I got to push it, and it's on a continuous protected trail. I'm not dealing with streets or traffic lights or anything like that, but it's one of those things. I try to push it a little harder every time, just like they're saying.
If you do that, you'll get fitter, and fitter is all you're working on, is just being a little more fit. And eventually you'll get max fit if you get a little fitter, but you just can't have lazy days. If you have lazy days, your butt gets bigger. You can't breathe. And the next thing you know, you're sucking air. And you said, how did I get this way? And it's because you quit moving. And I just say motion is lotion. If you want your joints, you got to use them. If you don't otherwise they'll freeze up. So but I also believe this, you got to do something you like to do. So don't waste your time on some activity somebody tells you to do that's not fun. You got to keep it fun. Otherwise, you won't do it on a regular basis. So you got to, even if it's doing nothing but shooting marbles and getting down on your knees, if that's fun, do that. But I think you have to do things that are fun for you to do it on a regular basis. Otherwise, we're just not geared to suffer.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Especially doing things incrementally. A lot of people expect things to happen, overnight in a big way.
Absolutely.
But if you break it down to those little, like you say, baby steps.
Baby steps. You didn't get that way instantly. You got that way incrementally. You got to unget that way incrementally. Exactly.
Now, one of the things that really, if you do a Google search of Pete May, especially look at the videos or the images, one of the things that really pops out is your sense of showmanship. And I mean, look at you. You've come to the dance already today with a beautiful suit, and you got the Stetson.
Mace Brian knew I would do this.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I want to share with the viewers and with you here, Pete. I want to share a couple of photos just to show what I'm talking about when I say showmanship.
Okay.
And
All right.
here, this
Oh.
is well, we got kind of two related.
That was the last collegiate disc golf tournament before I turned it over. I bought that suit to say goodbye to the college students.
Well, that's one heck of a send off right there. Look at that. I mean, with you with the pointed fingers coming out at the. I mean, you
I
know
went
where the
and all a
camera's.
high five on the front row. Yeah.
I got that photo here somewhere. I just couldn't. Oh wait, I think it's right here. There you go. There
Yeah,
you go. Run it through.
That was so fun for me. Maybe that may be one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life was high five those college students as I walked away from the collegiate disc golf championships. But I knew it was time. I was afraid I'd die on the job. If I died on the job, that would be the wrong thing to do. So I wanted to give it up while I could still advise somebody of what I would do next. My goal for collegiate disc golf is 1,000 teams in round one. I won't be satisfied. And I said that every time I opened, I said, I'm expecting you guys to put 1,000 schools on round one. But I've got an idea on how to do that. And I'm going to help them with that.
Well, we will definitely get into the college level later. That's obviously part of your resume. We want to definitely dapper into that. But I brought this up mainly in terms of showmanship and something like that. That's for those of you who haven't run a tournament, for those of you who haven't been in front of the tournament, you don't know how important it is for the spectacle, for the showmanship, for bringing the mood and the momentum up.
You owe them that.
You owe them that. I mean,
owe
they
them.
pay the entry fee for that, but also at the same time, that level of enthusiasm, that level of engagement creates a larger spirit on the field, and everybody rises to it. And really, that kind of plays into the whole pageantry of it all. And I want to bring up the idea of uniforms. We saw there you giving the high fives to the various teams, and we could tell their teams by the color of their shirts. And
Yes.
you've talked about the pageantry of college sport and how wonderful it is to have these people in uniform. Aside from the college aspect, we have various team championships. Maybe there's international team championships. Canada last year, I think they were in Montenegro or Croatia, Slovenia, maybe somewhere over there. And there was people were posting on social media of like the parades, the teams coming in kind of Olympic style. And that is a really fundamental aspect of the sport, especially from the spectator side. And you are really good at figuring that out. Maybe you can talk to us more about where does your innate sense of showmanship come from?
Where does it come from? I don't know. I've always liked costumes, but not on Halloween. What I like is shock effect. And I'm not 100% sure what that a psychiatrist would say about that, but I don't want anybody to be able to peg me. So I'll show up anywhere in an inappropriate situation that makes people say, why are you like that? And it's fun for me that people say, why? Now, I don't know why to anything. I know what, but a lot of what's, but I don't know why I do anything. I just know that I have a fun life and my wife tolerates me and my children adore me. Now that I know that for sure. And my dogs adore me too, by the way. But my wife puts up with she's got her handful with me and she knows that. And she's a beautiful person and does tolerate me. And so that's a blessing to me.
Good
But
job
I
of
don't
projecting out
understand-
that door there too, Pete.
Excuse me.
Good job of projecting out that door there too. I noticed that.
Yeah.
That wasn't lost here.
But I don't know, I've had a flair for a look for a long time, and I don't know whether that's insecurity. I don't know whether I wanted to be a clown. I think I wanted to be a stand-up comic and didn't have the voice because I'm not afraid of a crowd. I have no fear of a microphone. I have no fear of anything. If you want to know the truth of the matter, nothing embarrasses me, nothing. Now that's probably a dark side also, but I don't care. I'm willing to do anything if it helps. If it helps. I try not to use anybody else as the butt of my jokes. I did that in grammar school and I hurt a girl's feeling and she cried in the 7th grade. I'll never forget that. And I'm not going to say what I did, but I did something inappropriate. And after, when she cried, it made me feel terrible. And I said, I'll never use anybody else again as a butt of one of my jokes. I'll make myself the butt of joke. I don't care. But I think joking is fun. Now, this is, since you said this, I want to tell you about something I got to do in Las Vegas. At least 90 times I've been to Las Vegas to do events, table tennis mostly. Well, I went to Spain to play in the World Championships, and there were 7,000 people in that. And I did pretty good in the World Championships in Spain, but I've never seen that many players before. Well, the next World Championships was in Las Vegas. So I was busy working and I couldn't go and play in the tournament, but they called me the day before the tournament started and said, Pete, we don't have anybody do the opening ceremonies. We know you're not afraid of a crowd. Will you fly out here and do something in front of 7,000 people? I said, how many different countries will it be? They said, be 80 different countries. So I'm saying language is a problem, right? They said, right. But you need to do something to say welcome. I went and bought a very expensive Elvis suit. I flew out there. I pantomimed 3 Elvis songs in front of 7,000 people, and they didn't know that I was pantomiming. And I'm not going to go into details, but a Latin American girl came to the stage and I gave her that hand. You know, I got out and touched all the women's hands. Just I did everything Elvis would do. And Elvis is universal. So I thought about what is their universal entertainment? It's Elvis. So I pantomimed Elvis and then I got on a plane, flew home. So I was there one day, but I did a good thing. Even though you can say, well, you mocked yourself. I didn't. I just welcomed the people as Elvis. So that's something I got to do. And I still have the Elvis suit and I've worn it in a table tennis tournament since then.
That's cool. That's cool. You know, that
played in the
Elvis
tournament.
transcended. You know, like my mom's not one to like, she listened to some pop music and different things that we were listening to as a kid, but like I don't know if it was just because that's what my dad listened to, but she listened to mostly classical music. But I got stuck in a situation a couple summers ago where I was on a video shoot and I had to dress up in an Elvis suit.
All right.
For photo purposes. And there was nobody else to do it. And I was like, whatever. And I ended up doing it. So my buddy took pictures. The guy I was working for took pictures. And then I sent it to my mom, texted it to her. And she goes, what are you doing in the uniform of Elvis Presley? And I was like, oh my God, she knows who he is. You know, and
Yeah.
I didn't expect her to not know, but it was just like, I didn't know what to expect, honestly. So that's pretty neat.
He's the coolest entertainer of all time.
I went to Graceland. If you ever get the chance, I mean, if you're into anything touristy like that, it's a really, really cool experience just because like you see, like they said, like they used to have to trick him to get in the bus and leave. And that's nothing extravagant. It's nothing over the top. He would live in a far, far more extravagant place if he lived in this time than if he didn't. But that place, there's something about it. It's really something else. It's really nice.
Well, I saw him live in
It's
56. Yeah, I got to see Elvis live in 1956. So I was 15 years old and I got to see him. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was before he gained all the weight and went overseas.
Oh, yeah. That's when he's only 7 years older than me. So when I was 15, he was 22.
My
Wow,
goodness.
that would have been something. That would have really been something.
Dressing as Elvis wasn't obviously the only time you dressed up in uniform playing ping pong, table tennis. One of the things that you're very well known for, at least on the table tennis circuit, is as one of the members of the Booz Brothers.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
And I only bring this up because really it ties in with dressing up as Elvis and with, standing in front of the crowds there. You use humor as a way to bring publicity to the sport. And
true.
The more obscure the sport, the better, because then that gives you a greater canvas to paint the publicity onto. And so there's a real dovetail nicely between table tennis and disc golf, and especially with this idea of bringing it from the recreational side of just pure frisbee or pure basement ping pong to the professional sports side. And sometimes it takes that showman to do it. And at one of our largest tournaments ever, the 25th anniversary of the USDGC, legendarily, you have made an appearance, not only as a player, but also as the performer. And Mace, I know you've been there when Pete has, maybe you even have some video to share with this.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, I got video.
Oh my gosh.
Here we go. Now this isn't from USCGC though. This is from more recent. Well, let me get on the share the screen here. Oh wait, here we go. All right, so this is courtesy of my buddy Chad Lefevre.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead
I
and turn
didn't
the
know anybody
audio off.
videoed that.
I'm gonna turn the audio. So this is from the collegiate just recently.
That's correct.
Yeah, Corduroy gave me this and a couple of photos of you as well that we're gonna get.
I'll
to.
be darned. I had no idea anybody videoed that.
Oh yeah, this is so we got a full 4 minutes of this, and I was talking to Paul after watching it, and I go, oh yeah, well this isn't. Pete's taking it easy on this kid. You
Well,
know?
I wanted him to keep the ball in play. I was trying to let people see us hit 4 or 5 shots, so I had to hit it where he could keep the ball in play. Otherwise, if I put too much spin on it, he had no chance. Wow, I remember that kid. I do remember him. He was a really nice guy too. Really
Yeah, well,
nice.
and so part of the reason why we brought this up, and I mean, we talked about this briefly in the rehearsal earlier, but I've seen you do this at USCGC where you put up $5,000 out of your own pocket for anybody that could beat you. And I don't remember the stipulations, but I'm sure you do. So why don't you tell a little bit of that, and then I'll throw in some additions to the table. And
Okay.
to your,
You want me to tell the story of one of the $5,000 tournaments?
yeah, tell it, please.
We played it at the hotel. So
Yeah,
I brought
the wing it.
5,000 in cash. I had it in my hand. So I said, anybody that's in the tournament has a chance to win $5,000. I'll let y'all play against each other, and then I'll play the winner for $5,000. Well, Sean Sinclair won fairly easy. Well, Sean was confident that he was going to win $5,000.
Because no old man's gonna
Of
whoop
course,
him.
I knew there was no chance. I knew there was no chance. But what happened is the room had 200 people in it. It was over that hotel. I can't remember the name of, you know which hotel
Wingate.
it was.
Yeah, the Wingate.
Yeah, the Wingate. So it was in that maybe business room or whatever. Well,
That little conference, yeah.
yeah, people were throwing minis all over the room and everything. But Sean was dead serious. And I was having a joke, you know. And so I was up maybe 14-1. So Zeb laid on the table. And I put cups all on my side of the table to give Sean a chance to hit. And I played balls off of Zeb. Now, what happened is I made Zeb the brunt of a joke. And after it was over, I mean, not Zeb, Sean Sinclair, when it was over, I felt sad for Sean that I had mocked him. And I was really just putting on a show, but not thinking that I was making a mockery. So I went over to him afterwards. I said, Sean, are you really serious about ping pong? He said, I want to be as good as you are. He said, it's my favorite game more than disc golf. And he was married to Juliana at the time. And I said, why don't you bring Juliana and y'all come spend a week at my house and I'll give you a clinic. I'll teach you how to play. Because he's a heck of an athlete.
Oh yeah.
And so he said,
figures out everything.
No, but so I know it. So anyway, I did feel bad about that one thing that I had mocked Sean so bad. Well, I was trying to entertain everybody in the room. And that was my goal. And I did. Not I did, we did. Because without him being serious, my win wouldn't have meant anything. And so, but he played he was better than all the other disc golfers, without any question.
What was the score? What was the final score?
But the final score, he got 3 points.
3 points.
21-3. But the bottom line is it was fun. We did something, and only because he was so dead serious. Had I had somebody that didn't care, we wouldn't have had anything to show. So I clowned it up, and Sean was dead serious. But then I felt bad for him, so I offered him to come to my house I said, let me teach you to play, and I'll give you a clinic on how to improve your game. He never took me up.
He never took you up on it?
Wow.
I wish he had. But anyway, that's just a little ping pong story.
Well,
That's a good one. Well,
that's
so
really good.
and just to expand on that just a little bit, there was, I don't know how many times you do that, like 5, 6, 8 years?
4 or 5. Yeah. One time I played 160 players in a row.
Yeah, like we ran them through. Everybody came and got their chance. And
Everybody came. That's
did
right.
you like
Came-
you said, all right, if you get a point on me, then you come back in a little bit and you get to play me or something like
No,
that.
what if you got a point, you got a mini that said I beat Pete. If you scored 1 point. All right. If you came back and won the second time,
Is
you
that
got
the mini that's behind you right now? That
that's
yellow
the
one?
mini. That's the mini that said beat by Pete. Yeah. The yellow one said beat by Pete. The other mini said I beat, the green one said I beat Pete. I gave three people scored. So out of the 160.
Three
But the-
people
gotta-
scored
so
at
you-
least a
so you
Three
point.
got
people scored
200
a point. Yeah,
You
three
got
people scored a point.
297 of those minis in 3 different colors sitting around. Is that what you're telling me?
I made 10 of them. I
Oh,
said there might be
okay.
10 people who can score on me. So I made 10 green ones and 300 yellow ones that said beat by Pete. So I gave them, most have got one that says beat by Pete. And we just had a good time. It was fun.
Yeah.
But it was
Well, I mean-
160 people lined up to play me. Yeah. But that
Well,
was
I
fun.
remember one time when you used like a cafeteria tray for a paddle.
I did.
And
I
I've
did that.
also seen you stand there and tell people, okay, I'm going to hit you this and it's going to come off your paddle. Just like in that video we just saw where you
Yeah.
set your paddle down and you ran over to catch the ball from that kid.
And catch the ball. I can
Yeah, I
do
mean,
that.
you got this all figured out. There's no question about
Well,
it.
for any recreational player, I couldn't do that against a professional player, but any recreational player, I can direct where the ball comes back. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a part of being a stand-up comedian. Part of my table tennis is stand-up comedy.
Right.
If it's appropriate to the situation. I just don't want to do anything mean-spirited. I'm not mean. I am very mischievous. I'm extremely mischievous, but I don't
That's
think
probably why
I'm.
we've gotten along so well.
Yeah, you and I've had a blast.
Okay,
Man,
so
I want to interject something. I want to name 4 people that I respect in disc golf. Respect. Brian Graham,
yeah,
Jonathan
see that.
Poole,
I see that.
Harold Duval,
I see that.
Brian Mace.
Wow. I
Because
didn't
of the
know this.
work you
Really?
did, Mr. Golden Rake.
Two-time golden rake.
I know that. And that's, so he goes
Wow.
on my respect list of people that put the effort in the disc golf that's made a joy for me. So
Wow.
he's on my short list of people I respect.
Wow,
So
that's
I
really
want you
cool,
to hear
man.
me say that.
I really appreciate that.
Well, it's the
And
truth.
I want to segue right into this. And we talked about this briefly earlier on the phone, but you know, we talked about the putting thing, and obviously a lot of my memories with you are associated with the USDGC because that's where I always
Right.
see you at. And I did see you in Augusta when they had the Worlds there as well, but I wasn't there as long during that event, and that's kind of a mistake on my part. But the we and you were standing on the porch one time and standing on the deck at the shack, and we're out looking over hole 18 and the lake and everything at Winthrop. You know, it's one of the most iconic views in disc golf, one of the
Yes,
most
it is.
beautiful places in disc golf, without a doubt. One of the Harold tells me all the time, he goes, oh, it's the most beautiful spot in York County. And I haven't seen anywhere near all of York County, but I've spent at least 3 years of my life in that town. And
Right.
and I have to agree with him. It's amazing. But we were talking about a subject that's not as big an issue now these days, but we were talking about spectators and you know, at that point, I think it was probably at least maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And, you know, we'd done lots and lots of work. We'd laid lots and lots of groundwork. Jonathan Poole spent, I don't know how many, he spent a few $1 million out there now.
Yes, he has.
By the time we get to 25, you know, I'd love to hear that. And I'm sure he'll know it too. But
Yeah.
how much money have you spent in the last 25 years? But I'm sure it's in the multiple millions. And we're doing this and we're doing that, but we weren't getting a crowd. And I mentioned that to you, and you told me the story about the World Championships in Vegas. And why don't you go ahead and tell that story about the guys playing, the world champions playing in one room, and then
Well, okay.
the unified title, like practicing.
Okay. Table tennis is very similar to disc golf. It's a player's game. It doesn't have enough variety in it to mesmerize you to watch it. The ball goes too fast back and forth. So the two of the Swedish world champions were playing the finals match. And me and one of my buddies was in a back room playing a $5 game, because the game is about playing, not about watching. Disc golf is almost the same way. Now, there's only been 3 or 4 promotable players in disc golf in my mind that really were promotable, that you could take on tour and do something, but it's got to be a tour. Our game does not give it set itself up for a lot. Okay, what it sells, as me as a promoter, number one thing that sells is danger. That's bull riding or NASCAR or certain types of sports that where somebody may get injured terribly. We watch that. We watch that. Our second is sex. So girls in extremely short shorts or beach volleyball, let's just say beach volleyball, that sells. Who cares about volleyball? It's those girls that are hitting that ball, those long-legged girls, all right? So after that is speed. So speed sells. And a lot of things that go real fast, people are enamored with speed. Then tragedy sells and comedy sells. Nobody gives a rip about two tennis players hitting the ball back and forth, and no matter how good they are, unless they like the personality of the tennis player. That's the only thing that sells in tennis. Nadal sold. You couldn't sell a ticket to Pete Sampras. Roger Federer sells a little bit. Nobody wants to watch Djokovic. I'm just saying that what sells in tennis, there's a new guy from Spain that might be somewhat like Nadal. He's exciting. So it's energy that sells. It is not mechanics. In our disc golf game, we don't have any of that. What we have is the joy of playing. And if you happen to know a player, specifically know a player, you care about whether they win or lose, but you might only want to watch one or two holes, not the whole round. So our game is one of the best games that's played because I left a great game to play disc golf. Love playing disc golf. I love throwing a disc. Table tennis is also fun too, but it's much more difficult to play than disc golf in terms of learn how to play because it's so speedy and with the spin of the ball, you almost quit playing before you learn how to play because you say, I'll never get that good. By the way, there's 18 million people that say ping pong is their number one game in the United States. It is the world's second most popular sport, second to soccer.
Wow.
Wow.
In Europe, they have professional leagues just like baseball teams. In Asia, they have leagues. The US has a professional league. So we don't have a feel for this professional sport of table tennis in the US because we don't have any teams playing each other. And again, go ahead.
I have that Christmas light business. We've talked about that in the past, but a lot of my customers are Asian and a lot of them have ping pong tables, and all you got to do, I've had guys that were good that worked for me and they're like, oh, you play ping pong? They're like, table tennis, you want to come inside? Come on. They're like, come on. And it's like, and it's,
Thank you. Yeah.
And they want it, you know, I mean, and it's, you know, that my guys, some of them got slaughtered and some of them have held their own, you know, but it's really, I've just seen a glimpse of it, you know, just a very brief glimpse of it. And it's intriguing, but I know
there's at least 1,000 Chinese players that can beat every player in the United States.
Wow.
At least 1,000, maybe 2,000. They have 40 million professional players in China. The United States has 10,000 professional players. They have 40 million professional players. Wow. Japan has 3 million. So anyway, but it's a great game to play, but not, I don't even watching it on TV. People say, do you watch? They would say, I have no interest in watching it. I'd play it, but even the top players are not entertaining to me.
Right.
So that's just, you ask about the entertainment. Disc golf, we have to accept that. Now, we could do other things at a disc golf tournament, which I'm working with Jonathan. By the way, I'm working with Jonathan Poole to create activities during the USGDC where people are entertained while they're there. And he's got some new ideas and we've talked about it. So I'm a volunteer for Jonathan every year about being a ringmaster. That's what he calls me, is the ringmaster, is to think of how to stir the crowd to where they can be entertained with other things while the tournament's going on. So we've accepted that about the game.
Well, if you need a couple of associate ringmasters, the two of us are, well, Max is busy working on his third golden rig, but I'm available.
No.
All right,
I'll be available.
I like that.
There you go.
I mean, all that's gonna be, we're gonna be we're gonna be doing interviews periodically in the vendor village, and we'll be over there. Mace Man and the Good Times Hour are presenting the putting contest, and so we probably need to talk a little bit about that.
Just watch out for this. I'm going to bring in jugglers, mimes, magicians, and maybe cloggers. over in the vendor village this year, just to create energy.
Nice.
So,
Yeah,
I
we need to talk. We
I think you're
definitely,
gonna see that.
we
See,
need to talk later about this too, because that's
Yeah. good, we will.
because that's definitely part of my plan with the whole thing is I want to level that up big time. I want that to be one of the most memorable things about the event that's not the event itself. Is that
Exactly.
funny contest.
Agree with you.
And
Well, this is-
there'll be qualifying every day until Saturday.
Now, I didn't tell you this. Did you know I went to high school with Sammy Poole, Jonathan's daddy?
No, but you know what? I didn't tell you
I-
this. I
We were
didn't
in
even
eighth
mention
grade.
this, but look at this jewel that I got the other day, just totally by accident. Oh, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh,
I know what it is. I have one of those.
That one. Look at
I
that.
have that. I have that. I
A
have
friend
that.
of
disc.
mine sent me a text of this one and one from one of my Big Show events, Big Show at the Vet. I think you were at that one, Paul. But
Yeah.
when he sent it, and I was like, oh yeah, I want that. I'll take that. And I don't know if Jonathan has any of these, but this one's going to him.
Well, good
Yeah.
for you. I have one. I have one of those. Yeah.
I got one somewhere too, but I was like, that one's even signed by Sammy.
Good for you. So Sammy. Sammy was a great singer. I don't know if you ever heard him sing or not.
I did. He was
He
like,
was a great gospel singer. Yeah.
his like it was like seeing Gomer, what's his name? Gomer Pyle sing, right?
Gomer Pyle sing. That's right.
You know what I mean? Like you look at him and you'd be like, no, there's no chance that voice came out of that body.
When he
But
sang, he was Jim Neighbors when he sang.
He was Sammy was phenomenal, no question. And man, I don't know anybody that makes better ice cream than Sammy Poole.
Oh, he's the best.
Nobody makes better ice cream than Sammy Poole.
Well, this is a really good chance where when we were looking at this, when Mason and I were talking about the show, we were talking about a lot of alignment and parallels between table tennis and disc golf.
Very similar. Very
And
similar.
a lot of similarities, but this now lets us into the disc golf world. We can transition perfectly into there. Obviously, the reason why we're having the show is not just to talk about ice cream and ping pong, but we also want to talk about some disc golf, and we've already mentioned USDGC. But I want to take you back. One of the things we like to do here is we want to talk about the origin stories of our players. And
This is officially the latest we've gotten to the origin story with any guest that didn't start at 8:30 for sure.
Just for the record, anybody's keep a note out there. But the record shows you joined the PDJ in '97. You played your first tournament in '98. You were the coach, or you were helping out with the Boys and Girls Club in Augusta.
Right.
And it was those kids who told you about disc golf in Pendleton King Park.
No, it was not the kids. It was I was coaching a college
Okay.
ping pong team, but I coached at the boys club for 20 years. I coached table tennis at the boys club, volunteered there, but I was coaching the Augusta College table tennis team. And two of the players came to me and said, Mr. Pete, go to the 7-Eleven and buy you a Frisbee. We found the best gambling game you've ever seen. I said, what is it? He said, you know those things at Pendleton King Park that look like chicken cookers? I said, yeah, we know what they're for. They're for catching a Frisbee. So for a year, I played with a 99-cent Frisbee just stuck in my pants, and we would finish a round in 40 minutes. We would run past, and we didn't know why the people were carrying bags. We called them bag players. We had no idea what was going on. And we were just gambling, playing hole by hole. A skin. We played a skins with it, and it's just as fun. The bottom line is, if everybody has the same disc, it's just as fun.
Right.
Whatever you're playing with is the same fun. The first disc I had was a Cobra.
I was just about to ask you, what was your first disc?
Cobra was my first disc. Somebody gave me a Cobra. I think it was Brian Graham. Maybe gave me a Cobra. Yeah.
And it didn't take you long to get to your first tournament. So Mace, why don't you?
What happened there?
Hold on, one
You
question.
know how I got to a tournament?
Let me ask you a quick question. Did you know Brian Graham before you started golfing?
No.
I was going to say, because that could be very likely, but
I met him. He was going to college though the same time my son was. So he saw us playing together. My son was at the college on the table tennis team, and he and Brian were going to school at the same time. So he introduced me to Brian, my oldest son.
Okay.
So I didn't know Brian ahead of this, me playing with that 99-cent Frisbee. That came from the college team, the ping pong team.
So in '98, you played your first event, your first tournament. What do you remember? Which tournament that was?
Yeah, it was in Melbourne, Florida. And the Melbourne Open, whatever that was.
Yes,
Walter
sir.
Clay Walter Clay talked me into going to a
And you took-
tournament.
And you took third out of 5, so you're right there in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, I didn't have any idea what to do. But here's what I did a year later. I played 800 rounds in the next year at Riverview Park, 800 rounds in 1 year.
Wow.
How I did, how you say, how's that possible? I played with 2 discs, a Cobra and a putter tucked in my pants, and I could play a round in 40 minutes. So a guy would meet me at daybreak. I played a round before work, took a shower, went to work. At lunch, I came over, played another 40-minute round, took a shower, went back to work. And then I met the same guy after work. And we did that every day for a year. It wasn't a pouring rain. If it was a light rain, we played anyway. I was so taken by the game, I wanted more action. Now, he and I played, let's just say, cozy rounds. For the winner gets a little something. Let's just say that.
That's
We
kind
call
of
it
late in life
coaching-
to have your Sweet
coaching
16
fees.
moment with disc golf.
So I played almost a 900 rounds in 1 year. Now that took me, it just completely elevated my game because every shot was a pressure shot because it mattered. I played no casual rounds, only competitive rounds. So I really am not a casual player. I only, if something's not on the line, I want somebody's butt burning, either mine or somebody that I play.
Well, I remember reading a quote from you saying that the thing that really gets you going is that risk, that fear of losing.
Oh,
You love
it's
the
won-
competition.
It's a wonderful feeling. It's an exotic feeling. It really is. It's not a negative feeling. It's the fear of losing. Now, losing does not hurt me any because I promise you, I try as hard as I can in anything I compete in. So if I get beat, I got beat. I didn't lose. I got beat, and I accept being beat. A couple of times I felt like I maybe dogged it, and that I didn't like that. I don't, if you go out and play, put everything on the line and make sure you try every putt. Don't waste a putt. Don't waste a drive, some wild throw. Throw it that has a purpose. And by the way, this is the best tip I ever had. Don't throw a disc that does not, you haven't picked out a spot for it to land. Whatever throw that is, have a target so your brain understands what you're trying to do, and your brain can help you. You may not realize that, but if your brain knows exactly where the target is, it'll shock you if you just absolutely get up and say, I'm gonna throw far. Far doesn't tell me where is what you
that's a
want to
good
throw
point.
to. not far.
That's the same thing at targeting your
excellent
putt
point.
and like narrowing it down to a link or a spot on the hole or
Absolutely.
a piece on the spot on the rim. I mean, it's picking a place as opposed to picking the whole entire target. I mean, you got to pick a spot on that target.
Yeah, pick a shot. Aim small, miss small.
And I
So
know.
what do you
sorry.
think about the division names? Would you rather go with the senior grandmasters or the MP50, MP60?
Senior grandmasters. They
Yeah.
screwed up by changing. It's taken the savoir faire, whatever that word means, away from the titles. And I'm going to lobby real hard to put them back. And don't make me challenge them to start another association. Now, I don't do that. I wouldn't do that. Don't put,
I
don't
know
scare
somebody
me.
that might be willing to join forces with you, but he ain't.
no,
one
I
of
wouldn't
us.
do that. I'm just saying, but I'm going to lobby for the names back because we liked that. That identified who we were.
I agree with
Rather
you. Alphanumeric is like, it's like a digital code, MP
Yeah.
75 plus,
Phone
But-
number.
but legends, senior grandmaster. I mean, I've now just entered my grandmaster's years and we're
Yeah.
no longer, it's MP50, and that's just so
That doesn't mean
defeating.
much.
But if
I
I was
know.
a grandmaster, I'd be like,
I'm so thankful
yo,
y'all brought that up because you didn't make me bring it up. I appreciate that. Now I'm on a mission.
So we've kind of bumped against this, talking about your competitiveness, certainly against Herb, and you've mentioned Carlos, but the transitionary point, you entered into disc golf and you entered into a competitive rival relationship in disc golf with Peter Shive. He kind of was your Herb Beckham for a long time. You had
was.
a lot of times where, I mean, if you look at all your worlds that you played against them,
I lost 4 times to him by 1 shot. But he was slightly better than me. He could throw 100 feet further than I could. I could manage a round better than him, but he could putt real good and he could throw 100 feet further. He was a nightmare for me on open courses. Now, if we played on tight wooded courses, I'm dead even now. I beat him the last 2 times we played, and he chose. That was I beat him in Charlotte by 1 shot over 7 rounds. Beat him in Charlotte, and that was my first win over him. And then I haven't lost since then. Since I beat him in Charlotte, I haven't lost anybody. But then I beat him a second time in Emporia.
Okay. Now,
and you know what happened on the hole 18? I had 4-shot lead after 5 or 6 rounds. I threw a putter off the tee pad about 150 feet. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Winning." The only way I could have lost was throw 3 OBs. So I putted 4 putts and took a easy 5. I wasn't going to take a risk.
No way, bud.
And there was a OB on both sides going down that 18th hole. This was at Peter Pan. And there was a OB on both sides and a OB behind the basket. I said, the only way I can lose is throw 2 OBs. And so I putted off the tee pad. And when he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Winning." But I beat him. I was great friends. Oh, he was a great dear friend and a fabulous competitor. And he kept me in the game. Had I won easy to begin with, I might not have stayed in the game because it didn't seem as hard a game as table tennis. And I needed, and so Peter truly made me respect the game and love competition. And I'm so thankful for Peter Shive. And I mean that, yeah.
There's some, I imagine there's some junior psychologists that are watching along. They've got a lot of grist for the mill talking about your need for competition. But I think it's just so illuminating and inspiring that really for you, you need to go through the hard way. You need the most maximum line of resistance in order for it to be worth it.
Well, worth it. That's a good answer. Worth it. The question is worth it. In life, we have a lot of choices. And deciding what is worth something is not always an easy answer.
Right.
Is it worth my time? And we have a short run here. I mean, it seemed like yesterday. I was 16. Yesterday, I remember getting my driver's license yesterday, and I'm almost 83 years old. And it's like, where did the time go? It's been a wonderful, but it's a journey, not a destination. And I say, enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. The journey is such a great thing.
Now, speaking of journey, one thing that really jumped out for me when you were talking about your table tennis experience and then your disc golf experience, and this is your quote: "Table tennis took me to America, but disc golf showed me America." You saw America from the ground floor.
Yes, sir. When I played 60 years playing table tennis, I went from, if it was a long trip, I got on an airplane, I flew, I stayed in the La Quinta Inn, and I drove to an arena. They all looked the same. When I went to Las Vegas, or when I went to San Diego, or Burbank, or Rochester, or Detroit, or Miami, or Baltimore, these are New York City, I couldn't tell the difference. And I didn't see that at the time until I started playing disc golf. When I flew to, I was going to Las Vegas on a convention. So I flew to Salt Lake City, and the plane had a issue. And they said, you can either rent a car and go on to Las Vegas, or you can wait for 5 hours for the next. What do you think I did? I rented a cab and went to Dick's and bought 3 discs. And I was with 2 other friends, and we played disc golf. And it wasn't Salt Lake City. It was it? What is that town? It might have been Salt Lake City. I think it was Salt Lake City. And then we played 2 rounds of disc golf and went back to the airport. And I got to see things there I would have never seen. I saw a rushing stream. I saw mountains in the background. I would have never seen that without disc golf. I've just seen the airport.
I can tell a similar story from, coming from the entertainment business first. And,
Yeah.
I had a directory long before I ever thought about playing tournaments, just because, I was doing a monthly show for Benny Hinn for like 2 different 3-year periods of my life. And we'd leave on Tuesday and we'd come home on Saturday or Sunday. And I almost always had a day and a half off. So I would get in my directory, I'd call the person whose name was listed, and and say, hey, any chance you might want to play? I'm coming to town next week. Any chance you might want to play around with me? I've probably got this time on Thursday and this time on Friday available. And so I saw a lot of it, but then when I went on tour, I really, really saw it because, you know, we were there for a week and it was for one activity. It wasn't for a different activity. And I totally can relate to what you say. Like those arenas, they all look the same inside. I mean, they don't, but they do, you know,
But they do, they do.
and it's just like once I do my work in those arenas, it does look just like the last one and the next one and the one after that or the one before that, you know, and so it's great. And I love traveling for, you know, getting paid to travel is one of the coolest things you could ever do for yourself.
Oh,
If you
it
can
is
figure
cool.
that out,
I've traveled a lot on another man's dime.
it's
That's
if you can figure that out, it's unbelievable benefit to you. And but they also, you know, the other part of it is that, man, you got to get out and have a look, you know, like you put the book down and go out of the room and go and drive and do whatever, you know, I mean, walk. It's just, there's nothing better in my opinion.
Well, I did a barrel race in Tulsa, well, 10 times. But the first time I went to Tulsa, I found 5 disc golf courses within driving distance of where I was doing the arena. And I had the staff running the barrel race, and I played 5 different disc golf courses. Now, if I'd been still just playing table tennis, I wouldn't have done that. But because of disc golf, I drove to Norman even. So I played 5 different disc golf courses in the Tulsa area because I had disc golf in my back pocket. Yeah.
I don't know if Courtney McCoy's still watching, but we had Kevin or her husband on recently, and that's where Kevin's from. And that's where I really got to know Courtney too, before they got married and then moved down to your neck of the woods or somewhat.
Right.
So you're part of the country anyways. And man, I can't tell you, I got a list longer than me of the good times that I've had in Tulsa, Oklahoma and with disc golfers and at disc golf events. And yeah, there's good times to be had up there for sure.
All right, you brought up Courtney McCoy. I'm going to tell you the 3 coolest girls to me in disc golf, and I call them girls endearingly. Courtney McCoy, Courtney McCoy, Sheila Kirkham, and the new girl, Callie, this work on the road for Innova right now.
Nice. I don't know Callie
They're
as
the
well.
3 coolest. They're the 3 coolest, in my opinion, the 3 coolest girls that's been in disc golf during my period of time.
Yeah, I don't know Callie as well yet.
She's awesome.
Everything I've seen from her and all this time I've got to spend with her so far has definitely been positive. I really enjoy her, and she's
awesome.
She's
cool.
got a little I don't want to pigeonhole her, but she's got just a slight shitty edge to her attitude that I really like too. You know, I don't mean that as an insult in any way or shape or form, but she's kind of like going to like give you a look and it's
she's okay, a little bit sassy.
She's got some fire.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I like her too.
That's my 3 top list cool girls. It's Courtney. Sheila Kirkham is cool too. I don't know if you probably know her, but
Rebecca Duffy wants to know if she's chopped liver.
Who said that?
Not chopped liver, Rebecca.
Who? Oh, Rebecca. No, I was just naming 3. I know. By the way, I'm crazy about Rebecca. She's awesome. She's definitely awesome. She is awesome.
By the way,
I knew I'd get in trouble. I knew that was going to start getting trouble. I knew it.
Any list is automatically.
Your opinion on the divisions has already been filed with an unmentioned member of the PDJ board.
Okay, I knew I was in trouble.
Well, I tell you, when you talk about threes, the 3 coolest women that you know, but the law of threes, the 3 coolest things about disc golf for you that you've mentioned are friendship, fun, and fitness, and they all kind of come together in all of your stories there. I mean, one of the most endearing aspects of disc golf, especially for those of us who've been playing long enough, are the friendships we've made. And
absolutely,
you go into a competition with Peter Shive and you get beat by him the first 5-6 years. You don't hate him. You become amazingly close friends.
He spent 3 weekends with me at my house, going to Florida from Wyoming, stopped on Augusta, and we just had talked about everything. He's a wonderful man and just fun to be with.
Yeah.
Now, if you say, what's my most fun throw of all time? I was working in Verona, Italy, and I got a train. I landed in Rome. I threw a disc across the Colosseum in Rome.
Wow.
It's that-
Nice.
It's that 150 disc that floats. What is that disc? I can't think of the name.
Oh,
of it.
Dragon.
the
A
dragon.
dragon. I threw a dragon across. I got up real high because I couldn't have done it otherwise. And I didn't throw it the long ways. I threw it the short way across. But I went and got it. But it's a dragon. And at that time they didn't have disc golf in Italy. So I know I'm the first human in 2,000 years to ever throw anything across the Coliseum. Because without a bow and arrow or something, you couldn't have done it. It was a long way.
Wow.
That was fun.
I haven't
And I
been
knew
there yet.
my wife said, they're going to take your passport. Why are you doing that? I said, I don't know why. I'm just going to do it. So don't come in and watch me if you're worrying about it. But that
That's
is
a
a true
good one.
story.
That is very mischievous of you.
That's terrible. And I'm terrible about things like that.
Well,
So-
I know what I got to do in the next, let's see, 28 years, 26 years, something like that. Yeah. That's
We gotta
definitely one of the things that I'm going to try to pull off before it's
But not
over.
the short way across the Coliseum. We gotta throw the long way.
Yeah,
across,
across the, yeah,
I
not
got
the
no long
long way.
way left in me.
It's
when it comes to
288
long days.
meters long. I mean, you couldn't do that.
right? Speaking of long, just to wrap this up before we get into a discussion about the USDGC, but you are currently, I don't know if currently, but in 2021, you won the long drive competition.
Did. I broke a Stork's daddy's record for men over 80. Stork daddy had the record at 220 and I threw it 260.
260, 41 feet further than second place, by the way. So not only did you take it, you put your flag on that thing for sure.
Well, and I was honored that it was Stork's dad. He's one of the great Frisbee throwers of all time. So I was honored by that. That was, I feel good about that, really, and honored.
Nice. So your connection with the USDGC is long and storied. And Mace, maybe you want to take us through the start of just some highlights. Certainly your very first USDGC in 2002 as a player. Not that we're counting, but you were one stroke behind Dez, which is a great person to be one stroke behind. Mace Man right here beat you by 13 in that
That's
event.
right. I knew that and I expected it.
Well, I didn't know that. There was probably one of few people that I beat.
But you did beat Chuck Kennedy by 8 and Rick Rothstein by 43. But again, who's counting?
Oh, that was
Counting. I'm
was-
going to call Rick right now.
that the year of the blackjack too?
Yeah, I know what blackjack is. 21 on 888.
Yeah. Okay, so I was on that card.
Okay.
Me and
I
Ron
didn't see it,
Turner.
but
Yeah, who was the other one? Now, I can't remember who the third. There was 4 of us.
yeah.
Oh man, let me say this. All right, so me and Ron Turner were laid up in the right spot on our second shot in the ditch, right? And we're looking at that green, and we're there for like 20 minutes because Rick's just dumping his bag, and at the time that was the big number. Nobody had done any more than a 21 at the time. I hadn't even done close to a 21, and he kept going to his bag and get another disc. And he didn't have a golf bag; he had a duffel bag. And we had to count the discs in the parking lot to make sure we gave him the proper score. First of all, but before that, we got to a point where we waited so long, and finally it wasn't getting better, and he wouldn't stop trying to make it. And so finally, I said to him, I go, Rick, look, I don't want to get in your head, and I don't want to get in your game, but you got to be close to running out of drivers. And you really ought to think about trying to get up here and then cross from up there. Like, get up on top of the culvert, because he was back. I mean, we were sitting in prime spot. Me and Ron Turner were ready. And so he throws this shot. He thinks about it. I go, take a minute. Just catch your breath. Because he was just going back and getting a disc and throwing it in the parking lot. Going back. And it was not taking any time at all. And it was not getting better. It was getting worse. And so he finally carries land enough that he ends up skipping to the curb, but he made progress. And he made it down about halfway to the upper level above the pipe there. And we go, all right, you're not out. Take a break. And so Ron steps up and he parks his upshot. I step up, and it's not an upshot, it's a drive. I mean, it's carrying the parking lot and getting to the pin. It's another 300, 325 from there at least. Probably actually 325, 350. And so we both pumped drives down there like boom, boom. Okay, Rick, you're out. And so
Well, that was,
he
that
goes,
was amazing. Yeah,
he
it was
goes
amazing.
part way down. And I think we even actually, we did some discounting and let him gather some weapons again so that he could get on. But man, the 21, we literally were counting frisbees in the parking lot.
The old blackjack. That was
The old
blackjack.
blackjack.
That's right. And what was I going to tell you? I was going to tell you something I did when I turned 80. I wasn't playing in the tournament, but I did a practice round and I
Mhm.
shot at 80. So I've shot my age and I'm going to make a trophy for anybody that shoots their age there. I think that is a hard thing to do on that course, is to shoot your age. So I shot my age when I was 80, but not wasn't an official round, but I was keeping score and I've got what I shot on each hole. So I'm going to make some sort of crystal trophy to leave as a legacy for people to add names on it as if people that shoot their age, because I know that's going to be hard. I mean,
Mhm.
particularly you got to shoot a 50 or something like that. Or, you know, a younger person has got to, I mean,
That's a tough one. I mean,
that's a tough, but
we
I
got
have done that. And that was, my goal had been the whole time to shoot my age. And it took me to 80 to get there. I never did it in my 70s. And
I
I
think-
certainly never did it in my 60s.
Yeah, I think you're gonna hold that record for quite a while, my friend.
But that's a tough one. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a tough one, and you gotta give someone a reason to even go out there and give it a shot too, you know. And be like,
Yeah.
we got a local guy named Michael Woodard, and he, you probably, if you do your homework, you can meet this guy at the Slinsky, because I'm pretty certain he's going to
Okay.
that. He's a really good guy, and he plays MP50. But the last 2 years, we have a skins match for top 4 men and the top 4 women in open division. And the last 2 years, as a MP50 qualified player, he's made the skins match both times. And all the guys he's playing against are in their 20s.
Wow, that's awesome.
Maybe
That is
Chad
awesome.
Larson might have been Chad Larson might be closing in on 30 right now, and maybe he's just early 30s. But Woody could possibly do that. I don't know that Woody could qualify, and it's not a shot against Michael at all. He's a great guy and he's a good golfer, but I just don't know that he's, well, shoot, it gets harder. It's harder and harder. I mean, it's
Yeah,
always
I'm
been
going to
hard.
make the tournament on practice day. I'm going to do something to where they let you try to qualify. I'm going to give people a chance to shoot at that age if they don't make the tournament to come and qualify. I'll make first place worth it to where if
That'd be
somebody,
pretty cool. And seeing honestly, that'd be another thing that would be added to the sideline that would draw
Yes.
more people to come as a spectator.
Shoot
Because
your
if you
age.
give them that chance on Tuesday,
Yeah.
or even on Wednesday, you know, before, say, Wednesday afternoon or something, you have a little scramble deal for them or something like that. Because it's, well, and man, I mean, obviously our whole entire goal from every one of us on the staff side is, what else can we do to draw 10 more people each, you know? I mean,
Exactly.
something along that line. And that's the kind of thing that would do it. And I mean, this goes back to our conversation on the deck. I mean, I've been banging the drum as hard as I possibly could forever. And part of the reason we had that conversation is that I come to realize every year that I know people in Charlotte that don't make the trip down, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. I just somehow don't understand it.
The
But
village has got to be better. The village has got to be better, and it will
and it's
be.
gonna be. It's gonna be.
Jonathan is really all into the village, and Jonathan and I talk every Tuesday. We have a phone call every Tuesday, talk about what can be done. And we have a brainstorm. Jonathan Poole and I have a brainstorm meeting every Tuesday about the USDDC. What can we do? We do that every Tuesday. Sometimes we don't think of anything, but we have a long list of things that might be done to draw one more person to come and buy that ticket. So Jonathan and I stay on task about that one thing, is spectators.
Well, Mason and I we're really looking forward to trying to be some kind of sideline podcaster at the Bender Village at the Spectator Center. So we're gonna try to do the best we can to bring some more
Good deal.
butts in the
Well,
seats,
yeah,
you
I mean,
know.
Well,
Absolutely.
I think that kind of thing is just, that's like, how many drips can you get in this bucket, and then it's a full gallon, and then it's a full 55 gallons, and we're gonna
Yeah.
get it from all different places.
Hey.
But that's definitely part of what we're.
And then
gonna
you
do.
tell a waiting list. Then you have a waiting list when the bucket gets full. See,
Yeah.
what you want to do is build a waiting list.
Yeah.
That's what Masters did, the Masters Golf Tournament. You want the tickets low enough to where you get to sell out. You want to sell out where the fire department says no more tickets sold. I've sold arenas out maybe only 5 times in my life. That's the greatest thing a promoter can do. When you look up at the seat and it's the last seat on the opposite side of the stadium where people come in, and when somebody sits in that seat, I was going to say something inappropriate then. I had a good time. I've had a good time when I saw someone sitting in that seat. I knew I had sold the arena out. And for promoters, that's so fun to sell out an arena. I've had 1,000 people in line before that the fire department said no more tickets sold. And I went out on the deck and let everybody scream at me because I knew they'd be the first time. They'd be the first ticket buyers next year. I actually sold an arena out with 1,000 people waiting in line to a barrel race, waiting in line to a barrel race. But I had Tanya Tucker coming as a celebrity rider. And that's why they were coming. And by the way, Tanya's a handful to take out to dinner at night, late at night. Just want you to know that. And Tanya, if you're watching, I remember that night I took you to the steakhouse. She's a great entertainer. Oh, she was great. And she's a great horse person.
Well, speaking of entertainers and entertainment, your resume is vast and varied and wonderful. And we've touched on this earlier, but you started the college championships. It was you who brought it all together. And one of the things when I was thinking about this and, also thinking just in terms of promotion of this sport in general and how we get this into official channels, is we need people who are fluent in other types of language, bureaucratic language, administrative language, and people who can feel comfortable being in the 2 roles at once. There's some of us who, we identify too much as the tie-dye t-shirt wearing kind of people who feel awkward in front of people in the halls of power or whatever. But you have this certain facility to be able to talk to the provost or the president of the college and say, this is something important. We need to get this done. Can you get somebody from the West Coast to bring in 4 players and make this a truly national championship?
Yeah,
and you did that, and you were able to do it. And I'm not sure there's many other people who can do that, but you did it. That's how you started it.
Yeah, I started it. And by the way, it wasn't my idea. You know whose idea it was? It was my boss's idea. I made him the honorary starter of the Worlds. And he got so caught up with, he flies out, he has a jet, so he can fly the jet. And he got so interested in the flight. It was Chris Sprague, I believe, that threw a disc 500 feet and explained to him how the disc flew at the tournament. And he was so enamored after the tournament was over. He said, Pete, I want this tournament here every year. I said, boss, I can't do that. They move it around. He said, yes, we can. I'll put up the money. Don't worry about the money. I said, we can't get it. They're not going to give it to me every year. They move the Worlds around. He said, then I want a tournament equal to that in Augusta every year. And so I sat down and I said, what could that be? And I saw a friend of mine that was a president of a college in South Georgia, hitting golf balls fairly near my house. His name was John Black. I said, John, you ever heard of disc golf? He said, yeah, I play disc golf. I like it. I said, would you be the commissioner of college disc golf if I start an association? He said, you got it. So I had a college president as commissioner, and I got 7 schools to come the first year. I raised $15,000 and I paid for everything they could think of. So I didn't waste it. I invested it in those, 7 times 3, it was 20. No, yeah, I think it was only 3 players maybe only 3 players the first year. So it was only about 25 players. And I bought them backpacks, everything I could think of. But we had 7 schools, and then within 6 years, we were up to 100. So I thought it was going to top out at 13 because we went from 7 to 13 to 14. And I said, well, it's just not going to happen. I'm going to have to accept about 20 schools. And then next thing I knew, I had 100. So it was, the hard thing is turning around 2 rounds in a day when you have 500 players. That was the hardest thing I had to do, was when I had 500 players to get I couldn't let them leave the campus. So I had to feed them. So that you got to think of, when you create big, you create problems. I think it's better quality than big. And I keep making the collegiates better and better and better to be an experience to come. And I still believe there can be 1,000 teams in round 1. What you let them do is play the school that's closest to them. So you reduce travel. So in the second round, you do the same thing. You sort the field again, closest teams play until you get it down to 250, and then you work to regions and finals. That was my idea 20 years, almost 20 years ago now. And I think I'm going to suggest we go back to that idea of having 1,000 teams in round one. Think
Well-
what that would do for ESPN
Oh, man.
and
Yeah.
for disc golf. If we had 1,000 schools in round one, like the Final Four.
Yeah.
That would be a cool thing. So that's, if you ask me what's still on my heart, it's that.
All right, I
Well, I
want to
mean,
share.
if-
I want to share a photo since we're talking about that. I got a good photo to share.
Uh-oh.
Courtesy of my friend Chad Lefevre, who Corduroy, he's watching now. But let me do a screen share here. And he shared a couple images with me. A couple other things besides that video from earlier. But this is a really cool photo for me.
Oh,
Because
gosh.
obviously, like Harold's one of my favorite people on the planet, no question about it.
No question, for me too.
But it's also worth noting that right over his shoulder is his son Andrew, and actually I would have to say that Andrew is actually Michael's sidekick to a large degree, just because, man, Michael knows how to drive everything, and so Andrew and Michael, like those are two of the go-to guys. Those are the two guys that you can, if you want to blame somebody for the course at USDGC, blame them. That's their hard work now. They've
Absolutely.
taken the ball and run with it big time. But here's a perfect example of your showmanship, and obviously
Well, Harold knew that
Came-
he
came
knew
to the
that I
game.
would do something since they invited us to be the honorary starters. He knew I was going to come dressed in something. He thought I'd be dressed in a monkey suit. He said, "Are you going to wear an ape suit? What are you going to do?" I said, "I'll show you when I get there." But he knew I would do something. Harold and I have made a lot of trips together. We are dear friends. Harold came to my 80th birthday party, drove to Augusta, which was quite a fun surprise for me. And I don't have a closer friend than Harold Duvall, and he's fun to be with. He's a wonderful human being. He
Man,
really is.
both of you guys are cut from the same cloth. Obviously, different years and different sides of the country, but man, I mean, like you guys, I told Paul earlier, whenever I get together with either one of you, I make sure I got an empty bucket, and then I go home and I look in that bucket and see what I
Well,
get.
thank you.
Because
But Harold,
it's 100% true. I mean, I don't know I don't know 3/4 of what I know about course design without all the years I've worked with Harold out there at USDGC. And
boy,
there's times where he'll lean into you and go, "See how you don't see the pin still?"
he's amazing. Yes.
Oh, and just like here's another opportunity for someone to show you how to think about this or about that. And so, yeah, I want to share that photo. And here's another one I want to share with you that Corduroy also shared with us. Here's this one, and then here's oh wait, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry, guys.
It's all right.
That's an old trophy. So here's a good one, and then there's one more hiding in the back here somewhere. Of you and David Wiggins Jr.
Okay, he and I did a fun event together for Jonathan Poole.
Yeah, that kid's man.
I really like David Wiggins. He's a great guy.
I do too, and like he's probably going to be our first young guest because
He's awesome.
just
Yeah,
he's amazing, and
he can talk.
Let me bear with me for a second. I'm going to get this other picture. This
Right,
one's
good.
even better than that one.
I beat him in a distant contest, but I have to tell you about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I
Let's
did.
hear
I
that.
did.
He was how
did.
old was he?
I throwing a real lightweight disc. I challenged him to a lightweight disc throw, and he didn't realize how unstable it was. I beat him in a short throw. I did. That was so fun.
Oh, that's awesome. How old was he at the time? Do you remember?
This was just recently. It was less than 2 months ago. Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's I tell you, I want to go fish.
He's a piece of work, though. He is somebody that can be promoted. He's that good, and his long throws should be promoted. That's the way to promote the sport. Is David Wiggins throws.
It was really great to have him back out for the championship, the distance
yeah.
competition, obviously, and last year just to see him, And I mean, like, honestly, I got memories like Tulsa. I ran the distance. Ran the distance competition in Tulsa for Kevin and Courtney and for the Tulsa club during that Am Worlds. And I remember him carrying a Carolina bag, like just like Double G. Okay. No
Mhm.
shoulder straps that were way too big for him, golf
Yeah.
bags way too big for him, smacking him in the calves as they walked, did not
Yep.
care, threw great shots, got better and better and better. And I mean, still to this day, you know, like that's Double G's another one. We'll have to have him on, and he'll be like still part of the young crowd, but he's a veteran. You know, I mean, he's not part of. I mean, he's a part of the younger crowd. You know,
He is. He really is a young gun.
and they're
Still a young.
vets. You know, I mean, they're serious veterans, and they've seen. You know, shoot, Double G's seen more than 20 years worth of action. I mean, he caddied for Cam in what was that 2001 in Twin Cities.
Right.
You know, when he
Never,
won his-
never mind. I was in Grand Rapids for the 96, 97 Am Worlds. And I remember seeing Double G. He must have been about 10, maybe 12. And he was throwing, they had this basket that was out on a point of land that you had to throw over 250 feet of water just to get to this point of land. And he must have dumped 50 discs into the reservoir just trying to hit this basket. And none of us who were like mid-20s at the time, we couldn't even throw half the way to that basket. And there's like, this guy should be lining up for more slushies, and he's crashing these discs.
yeah,
So
He's a
he's like
special
an old
guy.
school.
Double G is a really special guy.
Now, one thing I want to touch on here is you are also, as we've mentioned briefly, in the Hall of Fame. You just went in.
Yeah, that was a shocker to me. I really wasn't expecting that. I must tell you, I choked up when they called me because I'd never thought about that. And what an honor to be going with Peter Shive. He and I went in on
Right.
at the same time.
obviously, yeah.
That's a great class you're in right there, and
And so
you're
I don't
arch rival.
I don't even know how to pronounce Joe's last name properly, but Steve Lambert is another guy that's amazing. And obviously,
Her name is Kahau. Just
Kahau.
like Kahau. That's how it's pronounced. Kahau.
Yeah, Steve Lambert. Yeah, and I've never met her that I know of.
Yeah, she was the first really good freestyler.
Oh, all right.
She was a disc golfer too, but she was really a great freestyler. That was her road to Frisbee. Yeah,
Where's she from?
California.
Okay.
Yeah, she's one of those California girls. She's real pretty too.
It's one of those things where you look at it, your entire PDGA career, you didn't even start playing Frisbee golf until your mid-50s. You've got 26 years and already you're in the Hall of Fame. That just goes to show, first of all, to your drive, to your relentless talent, to your unending quest for perfection, but also to who you are. You're the genius, mischievous nonetheless, but the genius of you. You've done significant building for this sport that people around the globe should know the name Pete May. They really should.
Thank you for doing this, but the Hall of Fame thing was just I just didn't know what to say. I wasn't an old school Frisbee player, so I didn't think I was in the club.
Yeah.
I just said, I'm not part of them. And when I got in, I don't know who even appointed me and how the vote went, but I had several people. I must have got 50 emails from Hall of Famers saying, Pete, why did it take so long for you to get in? That's the best thing of all, when I got those emails from Hall of Famers saying, Pete, we're so glad you're in. If anybody deserved it, it was you. I teared up a couple of times reading emails from people I so respect, like Snapper Pearson, and I could go on and on. David Greenwell.
Well, obviously, that's a testament to the things that you've done and the impression you've left. And it's everybody does their part, and it's deserved for sure. Without a doubt. Hey, check this out.
I don't care whether I'm deserved or not. I still feel honored. Whether it's earned or not, it's one of those things that you just don't know how to believe it. I couldn't believe it was true. It didn't seem real to me, like it was a dream.
Maybe this got something to do with it. I don't know.
Okay. That's Becky.
Yeah, you and Brian Graham and Rebecca. I would imagine
That's
this
right.
was
That's at the
well,
Hippodrome.
Disc Golf Planet. This goes way back.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's at the Hippodrome. I believe that's at the Hippodrome.
Probably so.
I think so.
Well, one of the things that you had mentioned about disc golf vis-a-vis your entrance into the Hall of Fame was, or that was mentioned about you, sorry, was your competitive spirit can only be matched by your willingness to spread the joy playing it. And that fits into the holy trinity of friendship, fun, and fitness.
And
the
that's what
fun,
it is. That's what disc golf brought to me, was friendship, fun, and fitness, in that order of importance. The friendships that I've made with some people. See, Tim Selinsky and I were really close friends. He had invited me to come and spend the Rose Bowl weekend with him, and he was on the Rose Bowl committee for my wife and I, and he was going to take me by
What?
scenes and show me everything about the Rose Bowl floats and everything. And that's when he got sick. He got sick right after that.
Man.
But he invited me to do that. And I was going to bring him into the Masters. I had Masters tickets back then. And he was going to come stay with me. And I was going to take him back to scene because I can get behind the scene at the Masters. And I was going to show him everything behind the hedges at the Masters. And so that's the kind of relationship we had. It was really a warm relationship with Tim. He's a great guy.
Those are like epic sports experiences too, you know, like anybody that's a real sports fan would just be like, oh, really? Are you kidding me? I get to do that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And man, Ski, you know, I mean,
He's just a great guy.
if you didn't know him, you really, really, really missed
You
out.
missed
you
something.
know?
You truly missed something. He was something special. Yeah.
He was
Well-
another one of those empty bucket people.
Yes, he was. He
Man, I
really-
learned so many things just in just casual conversations with him. And one of the things that was really cool for me is being as poor a golfer as I was at the World Championships. Pretty much every time I went, I ended up playing with people like Tim Selinsky and Harold Duvall, and you know, and it was just like that was what I got to where I was looking forward to that stuff. You know, I was like, oh, you guys are here. Well, cool. I'll at least probably get around in with you at least one point this week. You know, and it. You know, and it's shoot. I mean, I used to be really hard on myself on the course, and Selinsky pulled me aside one time and he said, "I wish you'd stop treating my friend Brian like this," and just walked away from me. And I was just like, "Okay, I think I probably need to, don't I?"
Well, he was a special guy. He really
Yeah,
was.
he was
brought a
amazing.
lot of golf. He really did. He brought a real sweet energy. If I had to say, he was a sweet man as well as a competitor. He was a great freestyler. I mean, he was a fierce competitor himself, more, I think, in freestyle than disc golf. But I mean, he was one of the founders of Innova. I mean, he was right there.
Oh yeah. Well, and I was just thinking
He was
about
the
that.
founder. Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. You know, I mean, that's we're having Harold on June 15th.
Okay.
At least tentatively. And, you know, and I want to, obviously, if Selinsky was alive, I'd feel real confident that I could call him up and ask him and he would come on too. But obviously, that's not going to happen. And so, but, you know, like I'm hoping that I can get Donapace at some point too, because just like I mean, look at your sports experience. You don't know anybody that invented any part of ping pong. I mean, maybe not any part, but nothing instrumental. You don't know anybody that invented anything instrumental in making bowling a reality. You know what I mean? And like we
That's
know,
right.
like Harold Duvall was instrumental in the sport that we love. You know, I mean, Harold Duvall put a lot of those bricks down right out of his own pocket.
Absolutely.
And you know, and like, and he's, I mean, I was texting with him this afternoon. I mean, it's when Craig, like, I'm not even going to go into that because I'll start crying, but he knows what to do and what to say. And
he
we're
cares. He
we're
cares.
super lucky to have friends like that.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I know that. Have Harold Duvall as my friend. I'm grateful is a better word, not lucky. I'm grateful.
Me too, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely blessed to have spent this quality time with you, my friend.
Well,
This
thank
has
you.
been you really are a luminous presence in the game, and we're grateful that you've shed some light with us here for the little time that you have. Thank you for diverting an hour and a half. We've gone way beyond the hour time, but I don't.
Well, I've had a good time.
Well, you know, we may,
Tip my
we
hat
may,
to you.
it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, a year from now, we find another hour's worth of talking that we need to do with you either.
There's still plenty more that we
You
could.
think there's
could
something
get
we
into.
want to dig up, I'll help you dig.
Well, so, okay, so before we go, I want to point this out and then you can share this with your friends too. That I don't know if any of them tune in or not, but as of this afternoon, I got all of the past videos up on our Good Times Hour YouTube page. It's the Good Times Hour YouTube, or Good Times Hour on YouTube. And so this is going to be archived there too. Like as soon as it's done converting tonight, I'll upload this show there as well. And we got Steve Brinster next week. We got
Wow.
Andy Lehman Young the following week. And I'm not sure. I've got a couple of requests out for the week after that. And then I believe Johnny McRae the first week of June, and then Harold the second week of June. So we got some really good folks lined up coming up. And if we'll, you know, carry on from here. But Pete,
Just keep
thanks so
on
much.
keeping on because you got a good thing going. Keep it
Yeah.
going.
Yeah,
Thanks.
well, and like I said, you know, this one of the things that also you can watch these videos on on my Facebook page as well. They're going to be up there for a while yet. But you know, like our primary goal, and we haven't said anything about this episode, but our primary goal on this is just to tell stories that a lot of these youngsters don't know anything about, you know, and it'll be really interesting if we get David Wiggins and Double G on too.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're the youngsters still, but they're not. They're the old veterans at the same time. So that's going to be a really interesting dynamic too. So, but anyways, Pete, thanks so much for spending the time with us, and thanks for your contributions. You know, and your wisdom is just amazing. It's I don't know. I've always tried to find friends like you, and I'm really glad that I have you as my friend.
Well, you guys are doing a great job, and you certainly made me feel comfortable. So I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. And I think the way you structured the questions, you pulled a lot of stuff out of me that I had forgotten about. So I tip my hat to you and say adios, amigos.
All right, Pete.
Adios.
Thanks for stopping by. We sure
Yes,
do
sir.
appreciate it.
Until the next time, my friend. Be well.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, by the way, Leafs are up 2-1 with 1:12 left in the third.
Empty net.
Hopefully
Yeah,
the goalie's
no.
not folding.
As you can see, Toronto, wherever the hockey is playing on the ice right now, and looks like we won game 4, avoided the sweep.
Oh, you did. Okay, yeah, it's over, isn't it?
Oof. I'm gonna go
16
have to get some
seconds.
Tums.
No Tums, guy. No Tums. Confidence.
But anyways, Pete, once again, we really appreciate not only taking the time here, but what you've done for disc golf. And we both look forward to seeing you at the USDGC in the Vendor Village. And we hope that we can catch you for another hour or more somewhere down the road and get some more updates and some more wonderful stories. And
Lord willing, I'll be there. Guarantee you that.
All right, man. Well, and I'll be talking to you real soon about that putting
Okay.
contest too. Thanks again,
Thanks.
Pete. Have a good one.
thanks,
Okay,
Pete.
signing out.